but modified is brutal in four-wheel drive.
Hi guys, Brett here from Hearns Hobbies, and I'm joined by Simon Healy as he's having a laughing fit. He's going to help me race prepare a Yokomo YZ-4SF. Now this is with like racing in mind, so we've gone out racing.
We're at the track.
Race day.
We're at the track. We're at the track smashing things.
Smashing laps.
Yeah.
Qualifying, not getting lapped.
Big air, huge jumps, cartwheels.
No cartwheels.
Oh, okay.
Still got the thick wing on it, mate. Look at it. She's a thing of beauty.
So
what do you do in between races? So you finish, you put your car on the table, you turn your transmitter off.
Yep, and I sit there and chill out and watch you fix your car.
Do you? I go out and marshal, like a good little.
You do actually. You do.
Go out and marshal. Then I come back. Now, what do we do to prepare?
Okay.
For heat 2?
So we've just finished the race. We ripped the body shell off and we like.
The Velcro's pretty good. That JPRC Velcro.
That's aggressive Velcro,
isn't it? It's gonna.
So we unplug the battery, take the battery out, sort it out for the charger.
Yep.
We put a fresh battery in. That's the first thing.
That's a given, and then that way it's done.
Now,
what are we checking?
We blow the car off, get all the dust and debris and crap out of it also, just in case. Four-wheel drives, because your front-wheel drives are spinning, they chuck a lot of dirt, and sometimes you can get dirt spray in the little gap here where the body shell is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you get a bit of stuff. If it's a loose track, you'll get a lot of little bits of debris and stuff in there. So blow all that out, because you don't want the spur gear picking that up, and you don't want the electronics.
Motor.
Well, you just don't want to leave it dirty and have everything just fill up with crap.
Absolutely.
Because eventually something will fail from that.
Yep. So we're going to whip the wheels off?
Not yet.
This
is a little bit fast.
I'm a wheel whipper. What can I say?
Yeah.
All right.
So we're going to do the visual overlook. Just four-wheel drive. If you're running modified, we're going to talk modified, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Stock is probably a little bit less, but modified is brutal in four-wheel drive.
There's a lot of energy going through
It's
the
just
car.
the cars are so fast, and I noticed that you have gone full piston head with a 5.5.
Yep. That's an older 5.5, admittedly. So it's
but it's a fast 5.5. I know that motor well.
Yeah. That was in my touring car, and it was absolutely a weapon in a touring car.
So, you want to take notice of the temperature of your motor.
Yes.
And yes, the four-wheel drive. This is really, really important in four-wheel drive because the load through the whole car. Take notice of your temperature. If it's scorching hot, you need to tune stuff down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you've got a fan on it and it's scorching hot, you really need to tune stuff down.
Yeah.
Because you got too much heat going through everything.
Yeah. Now, ordinarily, I probably would have a fan on it. This one, however, it's middle of winter here in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I was only practicing
Yep.
and exploring, so I was making sure I had 5-minute runs, like on the transmitter.
Yep.
And I would come in, and it was stone cold.
Yeah, well, that's good. So, if it's nice and cool and cold, well, then you've got nothing to worry about. Okay? Because these things are so fast and you tend to want to do big jumps with them and they hit the ground really, really hard.
Really hard.
You just grab the spur and just rock it, just to make sure that your clearance on your motor hasn't moved.
I'd say that has. I'd say that's a bit loose for me.
Yeah, well, there's something you got to check because sometimes it can move if you've had a big tumble or something like that.
And I can just hear that.
Yep, and with modified, you'll notice it more when you hit the brakes.
Yeah.
Because if it's a strong motor, it will tear the teeth off the spur.
Yeah, well, I don't run that much brakes for that reason, but that was a new pinion and spur, so they probably, if anything, have bedded it slightly.
Yeah, could have. Yeah, that's right. So you just do a little rock, check that, and make sure that's all good. You do the visual. Once again, four-wheel drive mod is going to have just a lot of energy and a lot of pressure on all the parts. If you had some really big crashes, we check our bulkheads. We check our shock towers. We just...
and what do you mean by checking it? What do you need?
Is that 2 mil?
That's 1.5, is 2?
2. So 2 mil, we just go under the screws here.
Yep.
That one's loose. That one's not so loose. That one's tight. That one's a little loose. So
we've found the 10th.
So we just nip them up because if they're a little bit loose, they're going to eventually get really loose.
And they'll be more prone to bending things.
Well, you'll have more flex, and you're correct. If you bin it, you'll break it. So just go over the screws. You only got to stick it in there and just turn it, and you'll know straight away if it's loose.
Yep.
Another thing too is these screws here.
Yep, it's in the bulkhead screws.
Yep. You just check them out because they have come loose on me before. Whether or not I haven't tightened them up properly before, and really important, your motor mount screws. All right. They're kind of so your bulkheads, that and your motor mount.
This is where all the flex and the energy's coming through.
You'll turn it over and you'll...
She's had a bit of work, this one.
Yep.
She's a good old girl.
It's been around the world. You just check all the screws on your 4 blocks.
And you want to make sure, I mean this one, I don't know how I've managed it, but there's no dirt in the screws. But you want to make sure you got yourself a good little screw pick.
That's right.
Because you don't want to be digging it out with your 1.5 mil or whatever. You have a dedicated tool for getting dirt out of screws, and that's what you use it for.
So on the 4-wheel drives, they're just important parts to just run the 2 mil driver over and make sure everything's tight.
Yep.
Okay, now you can pull 2 wheels off, a front and rear, please.
Yep. I'll do that. You sit there and relax, mate.
I'll just watch. I'll watch the pit man take the parts off.
Get some fancy new wheel nuts over here, I think.
Yeah, they're pretty crappy. Did you lend your good ones to Nan?
Nan? Oh.
Did she put them on the sewing machine?
What do you think happened to me good motor? Why do you think I got that in there?
Yeah, right. So she's got the good one in the Janome.
She got the good one in the Janome, mate.
Yeah.
The brother.
Yeah.
Nan and the brother.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
These 2 screws here. This one here.
Yep. So that's the steering block screw.
And this one here. They can unwind if you do not keep an eye on it.
And these are just all standard plastic parts in this car?
Yep. There's nothing wrong with the plastic parts. Absolutely nothing wrong.
Forgiving.
But if you're going to bin it really hard, you're going to stress these points.
Yep.
Okay. So you
but
just got to check.
If I upgraded to alloy, then you'd probably just do more damage and
well the alloy's not going to give, but whatever's joined to it will. Okay. So
best to learn not to crash.
So you just check those 2. Wire the wheels off. Your front CVD, you just hold that and just rock it because
sure it's not loose.
No, the pins, they wear really hard.
Okay.
The pins in there wear really hard because they're just under so much load and duress, like with modified, right?
Yep.
So sometimes you don't lube the front CVDs enough.
Okay.
And they get a little dry and that pin wears really hard.
Yep.
So I've broken 1 pin.
Yep.
Nathan's broken 2. Just because they've got old and they've just, this is a car that we race a lot.
Yeah. So
you just got to check them, and if the pins are worn and you got a lot of backlash in the CVD, you got to replace the pins.
These ones should be pretty new. They should be all pretty much a new front end, I hope.
It is.
Yeah.
It is all brand new because that's what I put in it.
All right. Don't go on about it.
No. I'm just letting you know that I put new parts in there. So.
And I want to be checking the glow. If I've been anywhere near this car, and it involves just pulling really hard on the beat of the tyre.
Where do these tyres come from?
These ones?
Yeah.
These are probably your old rubbish ones.
Yeah, so you see how
you said that about my last car as well.
You see how they're not coming off?
Yeah, I can see how they're not coming off.
406 Loctite, mate.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, you just had to break it, didn't you?
Maybe I used a different one on that side.
No.
But as a perfect example of finding a problem before it becomes a big problem.
Well, you'll hear it. It starts flapping. Like you'll hear the noise. Because these things make horrific noise when the 4-wheel drive mod, when the tyres are like, it's unbelievable.
You can't go straight.
No.
Can you?
No.
The cars just don't want to go straight. It's enough to make you want to pull off the track. You won't, but it'll make you want to.
Well, you'll just drive it. You'll drive it to the end.
You'll make you wish you're hating it. They're not fun to drive if they're not right.
Yeah. So 4-wheel drive is, I would say, double the maintenance of your 2-wheel drive. Well, at least, at a minimum.
I would say more.
Yeah, no, a good one, if you look after it, it'll be double. Right? Because
I would say more. Even just stripping down the oil filled diffs and stuff is a lot more labour intensive than a ball diff. One ball diff.
Correct.
No?
So if you're going to do your maintenance, don't do your maintenance at the track on a 4-wheel drive.
No.
No, do it at home.
And in that way, hopefully, you shouldn't have anything that fails.
That's exactly right. So yeah, so you've checked all your screws, stuff like that. No different to how we explained in our two-wheel drive video that we did. But there's a couple of other things that you need to be wary of, and that's the CVDs in the front is really important. The CVDs in the front, because it will affect your steering.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, those screws, etc., etc. So, and because these things are just missiles, they're absolute missiles. When you crash them, a two-wheel drive mod car, you crash it can be pretty hard.
Yeah.
But it's not even close to a four-wheel drive mod car.
Yeah, because they're accelerating so hard and braking so hard.
That's right. So you really need to check everything. Apart from that, these things, for really the size, the pace, and what they do are indestructible, really. Yeah.
And then you'd go through, I suppose, check the cambers, make sure nothing's bent or moved.
Correct.
That'll give you a good indication if you've bent a ball stud or a turnbuckle or pulled a thread.
Exactly right. You check your turnbuckles, all that kind of stuff. And if there's anything you see that's sus, you just make a mental note of it, then do it at home. You know, like if it's something you go, that's not damaged, it's not bent or broken or anything, but it's worn, fairly heavily worn. You keep a mental note to, just upgrade it with a new one later on. Or if you've got plenty of time at the track, and you want to do it then. It's entirely up to you. But four-wheel drive will only work well when it's maintained at a high standard.
Yes, well, you're asking a lot of it.
Yeah,
and it needs to be right.
So a two-wheel drive,
and even the 13.5s to some extent, like they're not underpowered.
They're not slow. 13.5 four-wheel drive is fast.
They're fast, aren't they?
Yes.
Imagine if you had a 13.5 and a two-wheel drive, it would be nearly as fast as the mod cars.
It would be. I have done it before. I've run 13.5 in a two-wheel drive with a little bit of boost in that. The only single thing that you lack sometimes is just that launch for really big jumps.
Yeah, really big jumps.
But the pace and the speed is pretty much identical.
But when you can get on it hard with a 13.5 four-wheel drive, they're pretty fast. But nothing like the grunt of a 5.5.
No.
To really, but it's really overkill and really probably doing more damage than good.
So yeah,
especially with this loose nut behind the steering wheel.
So your bulkheads on a four-wheel drive is really key issue. They're really key points that you've got to just check the screws and stuff like that and make sure that everything is A-OK. Steering, just your whole steering rack sometimes can come a little bit loose.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
They use a crush tube, don't they, in the top here?
No. They're actually washers. They're washers. Stepped bearing with a washer to determine the space in between. So that's pretty good. But sometimes you have these two screws here.
Yep.
These ones here sometimes will come loose. So what I have found on the four-wheel drive, that the key areas of what does come loose has been these two screws.
Yep.
Okay. Also, the underneath screws in the bulkheads. And the suspension blocks. Okay. And the front steering hubs. They're kind of the worst. That's the worst. Right. The rest of it is just really big crashes or hard knocks or whatever.
And I will generally check my lower shock bolts.
Yes. If you're running
with these Yokomo four-wheel drive arms.
Yep.
And that's the same on my DTM 3.12.
Yep.
I'll usually.
So that one's loose.
And this one should be okay.
And that one's just a little bit loose, but that one, was.
It's always the right-hand rear.
Yes.
And that's just the torque of the suspension on the bolt itself.
Should have a left-hand thread, shouldn't it?
It should. We should get into that.
We could get the bolts off a Techno.
Say heck no to Techno.
No, like the 10 scale, the EB410.
Are they 3mm left hands?
Yes.
There you go.
So you can grab them. One's silver and one's black.
Yep. I know that HB also do that on their 8 scale stuff, but you're not going to fit that through.
No, not at all. So pretty much that's
about it.
Yeah, it really is. There's not a lot to say, but
I am ready to go after all those checks. Ready to go out.
Yep.
And hit it again
and smash some laps. Big air, big crashes, wheel stands,
having
smoking tyres.
That's what it's all about. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching us race prep this Yokomo YZ-4SF2. We're from Hearns, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you later.